Okay, this video here today, I will be making this an update. This will be an update for the previous video I made for FLR Technique. This will be for utilizing the textbook. Okay, so at FLR, the concept is still there. It's just now you're moving on to the textbook. So what I'm going to do here is explain how you need to go about utilizing the textbook or books. Okay, so first of all, what you need to do, and this works for any textbook, doesn't matter, any language textbook. It doesn't matter what language it is, it works every time. So today I will be using Indonesian as an example. So we have this complete Indonesian Teach Yourself, and I've used Teach Yourself more with this FLR technique than any other course. Now I have ICML and some other ones, Living Language. I've used Living Language a couple times with the FLR technique, but I mainly use the Teach Yourself. So, so like I say, if you want to learn Indonesian, you will want to get this complete Indonesian course. Okay. Now, the first thing you need to do, well, after you get the book, you need to combine chapters. Now, I always talk about combining chapters, and what I mean by that is combining the constructions, the grammar. Okay, you want to see what type of grammar is being introduced in each chapter, so you can practice them. So, for example, I've taken chapter 7, 8, and 9 out of the complete Indonesian, and what I've done is, let's see, I went to chapter 7 and I looked at all the points, the grammatical points. Now in that book, I think they label them as how the language works. So all of these were introduced. Okay, so we had nya, we have boleh jadi, and then we have berdua. So nya here, I'll just explain a little bit of it. Nya refers to another person, like you say, let's say like his wife or his book. That's what nya refers to. Now nya is a very versatile word. This is something that you have to get used to over time. But yeah, they explain in chapter 7 that it's referring to another person. Okay, like I say, nya, buku nya would be his book or her book. Boleh jadi is likely, or is like likely or perhaps, more than likely. So they talked about boleh first, and they added jadi after that, which boleh means you may do something, or you can, or you use it for a question, requesting something politely. Beta dua. Now dua this means number 2, but they introduced beta, and you add beta to any of the numbers in Indonesian, it will turn them into a group. Like here, dua is 2, but when you say beta dua, that means a group of 2, okay, or a pair. So those were all introduced in chapter 7. Now chapter 8 here we have maaf numpang. This means excuse me, but may I ask. So they explained that in chapter 8. So this is important. This is key. Bagaimana. Bagaimana means how. This was also introduced in chapter 8. Pada is like in, or they mainly use it for like months, like in the month of May, in the month of June. Pada. Okay, and then we have se here. Now se added to nouns. They explain that it turns the noun into like similar. For example, we have SEKANTOR. Kantor by itself means office. So when you say SEKANTOR, that means the same office. If I say saya kerja SEKANTOR, or I should say saya kerja dengan teman saya SEKANTOR. So I work in the same office as my friend. And in Indonesian they have di, which is in, but here you don't have to use the di. It's already implied, so no use of using di SEKANTOR. SEKANTOR is already saying that. Okay, so that's chapter 8. Now, chapter 9, there weren't that many things introduced there. An was the main thing there. An. They explain adding an after these words here change the meaning. So, for example, ribu. You have ribu, pulu, ratu, juta. So it's like tens, hundreds, thousands, millions, or something like that after you add the an. Okay, so ribuan, that means thousands after you add the an. Okay, so that was that. Now, after you go through those, you take your notes, because you need to take your notes as well. I normally use a pad like this when I go through it, and I record it, even the example sentences, so I can get a good idea of how things are put together. Then what you want to do is put it in context. So as you can see here, I made my own context, example sentences if you want to call them, combining all of this stuff here from these 3 chapters. So first of all, I have Maaf numpang, bagaimana kamu mengenalnya? Maaf numpang, bagaimana kamu mengenalnya? Sorry. So this means, excuse me, may I ask, how do you know him? How do you know him? So this Maaf numpang came from chapter 8, and then bagaimana came from chapter 8 as well. Kamu mengenalnya. Now, kamu is you. You would have learned that if you followed the first FLR technique, the personal pronouns and whatnot. So mengenalnya, this is like, first of all, mengenal means to know someone, to be acquainted with. But when you add nya here, which was in chapter 7 and chapter 9 actually, this time it means is referring to him. Like, how do you know that person? How do you know her? Mengenalnya. Bagaimana kamu mengenalnya? How do you know her? How do you know him? So that's the nya. That's the function of nya. So these were all combined from different chapters. Okay, the next one. Let's see. Okay, the next one will be karena kami berdua kerja sekantor dan saya selalu bersama dengan dia latihan bahasa. Or sorry, it should be saya selalu coba bersama dengan dia latihan bahasa. So as you can see, everything in red, berdua, this came from what chapter? Chapter 7. So this came from chapter 7, SEKANTOR, the se came from chapter 8, and bersama dengan. This was in chapter 7, I believe, I just didn't put it there. So bersama dengan, which is together with someone. Okay, so because kami berdua kerja, so because we both work because both of us work in the same office. Karena kami berdua kerja sekantor, because we both work in the same office. Dan and saya selalu bersama dengan dia latihan bahasa, or coba bersama dengan dia latihan bahasa. And I always, together with him, try to practice language. So that was the sentence I made up. I had to be creative, put this, from each of these grammar points introduced in each chapter. So that's what you have to do. You just have to be creative with it. The next one will be sebenarnya pada bulan Mei. So sebenarnya, this is like actually sebenarnya pada bulan Mei, in the month of May. I explained pada here in chapter 8. It means in, when they use it like in the month or the season. Pada bulan Mei, in the month of May, ribuan orang akan mulai ajar bahasa itu. Tapi, so ribuan, that's thousands. And it was talked about in chapter 9. So thousands of people will begin to study this language or that language, bahasa itu. Tapi, but, boleh jadi, so but likely or more than likely, tak aku bisa mulai. More than likely, I can't begin. I won't be able to start. Karena masih tidak punya uang, because I still don't have money. Sembari berapa harganya? So, by the way, or how much is it, by the way? So nya here is referring, again, chapter 7, it. Okay, now it's referring to it. So how much is it? So like I said, the nya is a versatile word. You have to just get used to it over time. So that's pretty much it. That's what you need to do for when you combine the chapters. The same thing, okay, as you go through the book. Okay, so you combine the chapters. Take a pad like this and you know, copy down the grammar points and the example sentences so you can get a feel how it works. Then go to the next chapter, chapter 8, do the same thing, and then go to chapter 9, do the same thing. Now, how do you remember this stuff? Normally, I will go to a chat room. I like to go to chat rooms and practice like these type of sentences. I would use them on a native speaker to see how they will react and let me know if they're incorrect or whatnot. So you need to practice this. You can also use it for journals. Okay? So it's as simple as that. You combine the chapters, 3 chapters. I always combine 3 chapters of constructions. Okay? And once I go through those constructions, then I start making up my own sentences. And then I go to the chat room and use those sentences. Okay? So yeah, that's it. That's what you do. And after you do that, then you will get great results. Now, I should talk about the time. But what I'm going to do is, let's see. I'm going to stop the video here and talk about the time and the resource in another video because I don't want to make this one too long. So I will be back here shortly.